I honestly don't even know where to begin. I woke up this morning, looked at the calendar, and just started crying. Not sad tears, but happy, shocked tears. My baby, my firstborn Spurgeon, is 10 years old today. Double digits. It feels like just yesterday I was laboring for days, wondering if I'd ever get to meet him. And now, he's this incredible young man who is taller than my shoulder, reading thick theology books and leading his little siblings. But this birthday isn't just about cake and presents. Ben and I sat down with Spurgeon last night and made a huge decision, a shift in our family dynamic that officially marks the end of his little boy years and the beginning of his journey into manhood. It's a bittersweet update, but it's time. Today, I'm taking you down memory lane from his dramatic birth to this new milestone and sharing the big life update that changes everything for the Seewald household. Let's celebrate. To really understand the weight of today, we have to go back to November 5th, 2015. I was so young, just 23 years old, and I thought I was ready. I had read the books. I had watched my mom do it 19 times, but nothing prepares you for that first time. I remember the labor was long. It was intense. There were moments where I felt like I couldn't go on, where the pain was just consuming everything. But Ben was right there, holding my hand, praying over me, reminding me that we were about to meet our son. When he finally arrived, it was this rush of relief and overwhelming love that I can't even describe. He was big, almost 10 pounds. I looked at his face, this tiny, squishy face with those alert eyes, and I knew life would never be the same. We brought him home to that little 2-bedroom house, and I remember just sitting in the rocking chair, staring at him while the sun went down. The silence of the house felt different. It was heavy with responsibility, but also filled with this golden light of promise. That first night holding Spurgeon, I realized that my heart was now walking around outside of my body. 10 years later, looking at him now, I can still see that newborn face in his smile. The day he was born wasn't just his birthday. It was the birth of Mother Jessa, and I am forever grateful for that difficult, beautiful start. No, we have to talk about the name. Spurgeon. Chasey laughed softly. I know. When we announced it, the internet went crazy. People were confused. They were asking, like the fish, or why would you do that to a child? But for Ben and me, it was never about picking a trendy name or something that would look cute on a monogram. We wanted a name that carried weight. We wanted a name that had a legacy attached to it before he even took his first breath. We named him after Charles Spurgeon, the Prince of Preachers. Ben had been reading his sermons during my pregnancy, and we were just struck by the man's wisdom, his boldness for the truth, and his unwavering faith. We wanted our son to have a hero to look up to who wasn't a superhero in a cape, but a warrior for the kingdom. And honestly, it fits him perfectly. He has this gravity about him. Even as a toddler, he was thoughtful. He wasn't a Liam or a Noah. No offense to those names, they are beautiful. But he was a Spurgeon. He was unique. Over the years, he's grown into it. He knows the history of his name, and he wears it with pride. It taught us early on that as parents, our decisions aren't for the approval of the world. They are for the purpose of our family. That first year, wow. It is a blur of sleepless nights, diaper changes, and learning how to function on coffee and prayer. We were the first of the Seewald branch, so we were figuring it all out on our own. I remember calling my mom constantly. Mom, he's doing this, is that normal? Mom, how do I get a mustard stain out of a onesie? But the beauty of that first year was watching Spurgeon wake up to the world. I remember his first real smile, not the gas smile, but the one where he looked right at me and recognized me. It melted me. And then came the crawling and the first steps. He was such a determined baby. He didn't just want to walk, he wanted to run. He had these big, curious curls that we refused to cut for the longest time because they were just so angelic. Ben was incredible too. Seeing him transition from a carefree young husband to a father was so attractive. He would strap Spurgeon into the baby carrier and just walk around the house reading the Bible to him. That first year established the foundation of our home chaos, yes, but centered around this little life that God entrusted to us. We made mistakes, we were tired, but we were so happy. Looking back, I wish I could tell that 24-year-old Jessa, don't worry about the laundry. Just hold him. It goes by so fast. And today, seeing him turn 10, I know just how true that is. Being the firstborn is a special role, but it's also a heavy one. For the first 15 months of his life, Spurgeon was the center of our universe. But then Henry came along, and suddenly, his world got a lot bigger and a little louder. I worried about how he would handle it. Would he be jealous? Would he feel replaced? But honestly, watching him step into the role of big brother has been one of the greatest joys of my life. He wasn't just tolerant of Henry, he was protective. I remember finding him one day trying to share his sippy cup with Henry because he thought the baby looked thirsty. As Ivy, Fern, and George came along, that protective instinct just grew. He's the leader of the pack now. When we go to the park, I don't have to watch everyone like a hawk because I know Spurgeon is counting heads. He helps Fern with her shoes. He reads to George, and he mediates arguments between Henry and Ivy. He takes his job seriously. He understands that being the oldest means setting the example, and sometimes I have to remind him, buddy, you're just a kid too. Go play. But he loves it. He loves being the one they look up to. If you've watched any of our videos over the years, you know that Spurgeon is different. We call him our old soul. Even when he was 3 or 4, he didn't really talk like a toddler. He talked like a little professor. He would come up to me and say things like, "Mother, the sun is shining quite brightly today," with this serious little expression. He's very analytical. He processes things deeply. While the other kids are running around screaming, Spurgeon is usually sitting on the sidelines observing, figuring out how things work. He feels things deeply too. He has a very sensitive conscience. If he thinks he's disappointed us, it crushes him. We've had to learn how to parent that gentleness, to affirm him and build him up without breaking his spirit. He loves history, he loves maps, and he loves understanding the why behind everything. He's not satisfied with simple answers. Raising a child like that keeps you on your toes because you can't just brush them off. You have to engage with their mind. He challenges me to be a more thoughtful person just by being himself. Speaking of his mind, homeschooling Spurgeon has been an adventure. I won't say he's a genius because I don't want him to get a big head, but the kid is sharp. He started reading very early, and once he unlocked that door, there was no stopping him. The challenge hasn't been getting him to learn, it's been keeping up with him. He devours books. We'll be working on a math lesson, and he'll start asking questions about the history of numbers or how it applies to engineering. I often find myself saying, let's look that up together because he's asking questions that go way beyond the second grade curriculum. But it's not just book smarts, he applies it. He'll read about how plants grow and then go outside and try to build an irrigation system for our garden. It's a beautiful thing to watch, but it's also exhausting. We've had to find extra resources and deeper studies just to feed that hunger he has for knowledge. He keeps Ben and me accountable because we have to stay one step ahead of him, which is getting harder every day. One of the sweetest things to witness is the relationship between Spurgeon and his dad. Ben has always been intentional about disciplining Spurgeon. Since he's the oldest son, Ben takes him along for man stuff, whether that's going to the hardware store, fixing things around the house, or just sitting on the porch talking. They have this shared language of theology. It sounds funny to say about a 10-year-old, but Spurgeon really grasps spiritual concepts. I'll walk into the living room and hear Ben explaining a passage of scripture to him, and Spurgeon is asking genuine, difficult questions. Ben treats him with so much respect. He doesn't talk down to him. He talks to him like a young man in training. That bond is vital. Spurgeon idolizes Ben. He mimics his mannerisms, the way he stands, even the way he prays. Knowing that he has a father who is present, who is gentle, and who leads by example is the greatest gift we could give him. Ben isn't just raising a son, he's raising a future husband and father, and he takes that responsibility very seriously. Over the years, we've kept a list in my phone notes called The Sayings of Spurgeon. Because honestly, some of the things that come out of his mouth are too good to forget. Like the time he was 4 years old and told me, "Mom, I don't want to clean my room. It's vanity." He had heard Ben reading Ecclesiastes and decided to use it as an excuse to get out of chores. Or the time he looked at a devastatingly messy diaper explosion on Henry and said, "Well, this is a situation that requires patience." He has this dry matter of fact wit that cracks us up. Just the other day, he told Ivy, being loud doesn't make you right. I looked at Ben and mouthed, where did he learn that? We try to capture these moments because they show his personality so perfectly. He's serious, yes, but he's also unintentionally hilarious. Going back through that list for his birthday video had us crying, laughing. It's a reminder to cherish the little moments because the funny toddler phase turns into the witty pre-teen phase in the blink of an eye. One thing that makes Spurgeon's childhood unique is that he has been known since before he was even born. People watched my pregnancy updates, they watched his birth special, and they've watched him grow up through photos and videos. Raising a child in the public eye is a delicate balance. Ben and I talk about it a lot. We want to share our joy, but we also fiercely protect his privacy. As he's gotten older, he started to understand that people know who he is. We've had moments where strangers will come up to us in the grocery store and say, "Hi, Spurgeon," and he'll look at me like, "Mom, how do they know my name?" We explain to him that our family shares our life to encourage others, but that his heart and his private thoughts belong to him. We've become much more selective about what we film. If he's having a bad day or if we're having a serious conversation, the camera goes away. We never want him to feel like he's performing. We want him to know that he is loved not because he's cute for the vlog, but because he is our son. Navigating this as he enters his Teen years will be a new challenge, but we are committed to letting him decide how much he wants to be involved. If one day he says, "Mom, no more photos," then that's it, no more photos. His comfort comes first. Oh, no. Let's get to the big day. In the Seewald house, birthdays are a big deal. We have a tradition where the birthday child gets to choose the breakfast menu. So this morning, at the crack of dawn, literally the sun wasn't even up yet, I hear little footsteps running down the hall. It was the birthday boy. He came jumping into our bed, which he hasn't done in years, yelling, 10, I'm 10. It was the sweetest thing. For breakfast, he requested his favorite chocolate chip pancakes with extra whipped cream and bacon. We all gathered around the table. Ben, me, Henry, Ivy, Fern, George, and just celebrated him. There is something so surreal about looking at a cake with a 1 and a pedo on it. Double digits, it sounds so grown up. As he blew out the candles on his breakfast stack, I got a little choked up. I looked at Ben, and he gave me that look that says, I know, I can't believe it either. It felt like we were crossing a threshold. Yesterday, he was a little kid. Today, he feels like a young man. The energy in the house was just electric. The siblings were so excited to give him their handmade cards, mostly scribbles from George, but Spurgeon acted like it was a masterpiece. This brings us to the moment everyone has been asking about, the gift. For his 10th birthday, Ben and I decided to do something different. Usually, it's Legos or a new bike, but 10 is a milestone. In our family, we view this age as the beginning of the transition from childhood to young adulthood. So we sat him down in the living room, just the three of us, and Ben handed him a small, wrapped box. Spurgeon opened it slowly, and inside was his very own high-quality pocket knife engraved with his initials, and a leather-bound journal. It wasn't just a toy, it was a symbol. Ben told him, Spurgeon, these tools represent responsibility. The knife is for work and protection, and the journal is for your mind and your walk with God. We explained to him that from this day forward, he is joining Ben for training. He's going to be learning how to manage money, how to build things, and how to lead. This is the huge update. We are officially starting his apprenticeship into manhood. Spurgeon looked so serious and proud. He held that knife like it was Excalibur. He understands that this means we trust him. It's a heavy gift, but he is ready for it. With this new age comes a shift in how we parent. When they are toddlers, parenting is a lot of correction. Don't touch that. Sit still. Be kind. It's about behavior modification and safety. But now, we are moving into the phase of discipleship. We aren't just correcting his behavior. We are appealing to his heart. If he messes up, which he will, he's 10, we don't just put him in timeout. We sit down and talk about the why. Why did you get angry? What was going on in your heart? We want him to learn self-governance. We want him to make the right choice, not because mom is watching, but because he knows it's the right thing to do. This shift is scary because it requires letting go of some control. We have to give him the freedom to make small mistakes so he can learn from them. It's a partnership now. We are walking beside him, guiding him, rather than just directing him from above. It's a beautiful, messy, complicated season, but seeing his character develop makes all the hard conversations worth it. So what does a 10-year-old Spurgeon actually do for fun? Well, thankfully, he is not a screen zombie. We've worked hard to encourage offline hobbies, and he has really taken to them. His biggest passion right now is nature. He loves being outside. He has a collection of rocks, bugs, and leaves that is taking over his bedroom dresser. He's also really into building, not just Legos anymore, but real building. He and Ben built a birdhouse last week, and Spurgeon did most of the hammering himself. He loves seeing how things fit together. And of course, reading. The kid always has a book in his hand. Sometimes I have to tell him to put the book down and go eat dinner. He loves adventure stories, biographies of missionaries, and anything about animals. It brings me so much peace to see him finding joy in simple, good things. In a world that is so loud and digital, seeing my son sitting under a tree reading a book feels like a victory. You can't talk about Spurgeon's life without talking about the people who shaped him, and one of the biggest influences was my Grandma Mary. Even though she's been gone for a few years now, her fingerprint is all over his life. When Spurgeon was a baby and toddler, Grandma Mary was over at our house constantly. She had this special connection with him. She used to say he had preacher's eyes, intense and kind. Spurgeon still talks about her. He remembers her folding laundry. He remembers her singing hymns. We talk a lot about legacy in our family. We tell Spurgeon, you come from a line of people who love God and loved others. We want him to know he stands on the shoulders of giants. Sometimes, when I see him helping Ivy or patiently explaining something to Fern, I see Grandma's spirit in him. That servant heart, it makes me cry, honestly. Knowing that she isn't here to see him hit double digits is hard, but I know she's cheering him on from heaven. We made sure to include a photo of her on his birthday table today because she is still very much a part of our celebration. If you think our house is chaotic, You should see it when the cousins get together. Being the first grandson of the Counting On era means Spurgeon is the ringleader of a very large circus. He has so many cousins. Israel, Henry, Garrett, Gideon, the list goes on. But what I love is watching him navigate that dynamic. He's the oldest of that specific group, so he naturally falls into the commander role. He organizes the games. He decides if they are playing tag or building a fort, and the younger boys just follow him. They think Spurgeon is the coolest guy on earth. It's a lot of pressure, but he handles it with grace. We tell him, Spurgeon, influence is a tool. Use it to build your cousins up. Seeing him high-five Gideon or help Garrett up when he falls. Those are the moments that matter. These cousins are going to be his best friends for life. They are the only ones who understand what it's like to grow up in this huge, crazy public family. Seeing that bond strengthen year after year is my favorite part of these family gatherings. For this birthday video, I wanted to sit down and ask Spurgeon some serious questions. I set up the camera, put him in the interview chair, and just let him talk. I asked him, Spurgeon, what do you want to be when you grow up? I expected him to say something like astronaut or firefighter. But he looked at me and said, I want to be a missionary and a builder. He wants to build houses for people who don't have them. My heart just melted. We also asked him what his favorite thing about being 10 is. He said, I like that I get to stay up 30 minutes later. Typical kid, but then he said, and I like that Dad lets me use real tools now. Hearing his perspective is so grounding. He's wise beyond his years, but he's also still excited about bedtime privileges. It's the perfect mix of child and young man. This interview is going to be something I treasure forever. A time capsule of his heart at exactly 10 years old. I asked Ben if he wanted to say a few words for the vlog, and of course he did. Ben is a man of few words usually, but when it comes to his kids, he speaks from the depths of his soul. He looked right into the lens and spoke directly to Spurgeon. He said, Spurgeon, son, I am so proud of you, not because of what you do, because of who you are. I see your kindness. I see your hunger for truth. Being a man isn't about being tough. It's about being tender and strong at the same time. You are becoming a man of integrity, and it is the honor of my life to be your dad. I was standing behind the camera, trying not to sob loudly. Watching Ben, Father Spurgeon has healed parts of my own heart. To see a father affirm his son so openly, it's powerful. I know Spurgeon will watch this back one day and know, without a shadow of a doubt, that his father believed in him. I don't want to paint a perfect picture, though. As a mom, hitting this double-digit milestone comes with fear. The world is a scary place. It's loud, it's confusing, and it's often hostile to the values we hold dear. I worry about letting him go. I worry about the day he drives a car. I worry about the day his heart gets broken. I worry about him seeing the ugly side of the internet and the things people say about our family. I want to keep him in a bubble forever, safe in our backyard. But I know I can't. My job isn't to keep him in a bubble. It's to make sure he has the armor to survive outside of it. That's why we are so intentional with his education and his character. We are building his foundation so that when the storms come, and they will come, he won't crumble. It's a daily surrender. Every morning I have to open my hands and give him back to God, trusting that he loves Spurgeon even more than I do. But let's get back to the party, because we definitely celebrated. We had a small gathering with just family and close friends. The theme was the great outdoors. We had a scavenger hunt in the backyard that Ben set up. It was intense! The kids were running everywhere finding clues. The cake was chocolate, Spurgeon's request, and Ivy helped me decorate it. It looked rustic, let's say, but it tasted amazing. The highlight was definitely the peg atta. Spurgeon took one swing and busted it open. The strength of a 10-year-old is no joke! Seeing him laugh, surrounded by his siblings and cousins, covered in candy wrappers, that's joy, pure unfiltered joy. We ended the night with a bonfire and s'mores. Sitting there watching the firelight on his face, I just soaked it all in. These are the days we will miss. To close out this video, I want to read a part of the letter I wrote to Spurgeon this morning. I write him a letter every year, and I put it in a box for his wedding day. Dearest Spurgeon, today you are 10, a decade of life. You were the one who made me a mother. You taught me patience, you taught me selflessness, and you taught me just how big love can be. As you step into this next season, the pre-teen years, my prayer for you is simple. Be brave, be kind, and never lose that wonder you have for the world. You are a light in our home, and I know you are going to be a light in this world. I love you more than words can say. Happy 10th birthday, my sweet boy. Thank you all for loving our family and watching Spurgeon grow. Here's to the next 10 years! Bye!